Your stories, your experiences can change it all. Let's fight failure together. We can defeat 90.
Welcome to Defeat 90 Show. I'm Jeremy. This is a show that's been 10 years in the making. It's a show dedicated to you, the entrepreneur, and you, the small business owner, to defeat the 90% failure rate in business. Now, as we all know, we've heard that statistic for a very, very long time. It's something that, I've heard for over 20 years, but yet somehow it's never changed. It doesn't make sense. But the thing that's really frustrating about that is there are real lives that are being affected by this failure rate. And so this show is about challenging that and about helping you, the entrepreneur, learn from other everyday entrepreneurs, telling their story of what lessons not to do and to do to help you be more successful and hopefully save you the consequence of a failed business. Is this show for you? Are you an aspiring business owner or entrepreneur? Maybe you feel stuck in your growth and you're in this place that you've been doing this for a while, you're in 2-3 years and you just cannot break over the edge and grow your company and you're stuck. Or maybe you see all these other gurus that are talking about how easy it is, or see other business friends that are just crushing it and you're just like, feel shame because you're like, why am I not there? And it's really messing with your head, or you're not even quite sure how to get to the next level. Maybe you've been doing this for a long time and you've been doing it alone because it's a really big problem in the entrepreneur world of this isolation that we get into because we're so busy, that you're just looking for a community and you're looking to learn from others that have been there before you so you don't make stupid mistakes. Or maybe last of all, maybe you're just looking for inspiration of how to just stay, like, personally, professionally, and this entire journey, just stay inspired and not get depressed or be overcome by the anxiety of everything what it takes to run a business. This show is more than just another podcast. My hope is that it becomes a refuge. It becomes a show that you can listen to that you're like, oh, they get me. They understand me. I'm not the crazy one, right? I'm not the crazy one because I've been doing this long enough to go like, man, I'm the only one that screwed up this way. But then later on down the road, I'll talk to my friends that are entrepreneurs like, no, I've done that like 3 times. I'm like, holy cow. I wish I would have known because there was so much shame because of where that was at. This show is for you. It's about us as a collective working together through these stories, through the conversations that are going to happen to help defeat the 90% failure rate.
Let's all stop. It is insane not to recognize that the rate of 90% failure in business is too high. Entrepreneurship is hard, but when your business closing is more of a guarantee than its success is. We all need to wake up. Rebellions start when enough people realize together that something has to change, or it will probably get worse. It is time to do something. We need to rebel against this failure insanity. Will you join this collective of like-minded entrepreneurs who want to see you succeed? Will you join Defeat 90 today?
You're probably wondering, what is Defeat 90? Like, you've somehow it stumbled into your feed, or you saw a clip, or somehow you're here, which I'm glad. Because you listening to this, you being a part of this community, can help us with our overarching goal of defeating the 90% failure rate in business, because it's not something that I can do without you, and you can't do without the person on the computer technically next to you. We need each other to do this. And until we work together, it's not going to happen, because in you, there's a story. That's one of the key parts about Defeat 90 is every story matters. You know, there's so much business education and training that's happening. I'm going to talk about that later in the podcast. There's so much of it happening, and it's from these gurus and these people. And when you look at so many of the business magazines, so much of the information is from the crazy successful. I believe with all my heart that the everyday business, the person that's been running a diner for 20 years, which has beat the 90% failure rate in 10 years, has so much advice. You have so much advice for the HVAC guy, because there's so many things that translate between industries of just doing business that are not being shared. And because you're not, as a diner, a multi-millionaire, you're not listened to. That's ridiculous. What I care about with Defeat 90 is the practical solutions, the micro learning, the ideas that push the ball just a little bit more forward. The thing is, we become so obsessed with winning quickly and succeeding fast that in most cases, the average age of an entrepreneur that's crazy successful, that's over $1 million, is like 47, something like that, 45, 47. And that blows my mind. We're all like, oh, my dream was to be $1 million by the time I was 30. And like, it's just like that pressure and the mistakes I made. And I came close multiple times, but the mistakes I made by pushing so fast rather than building a solid foundation and building it right and learning. Those are things that I want to fix with that. The other thing is Defeat 90 is focused on recognizing the failures. I mean, we see them and we're like, oh, we have shame and all this condemnation, whatever thing about the failures. And we hear in society, oh, we have to fail, or in business society, we have to fail and fail. And there's this whole entire culture built around, well, until you've had 5 failures and a bankruptcy, I mean, you're not even close. You're just a baby business person. I'm like, what the heck? The implications of those things and the families and the debts and the situation you're in from that kind of life is crazy. Somehow, I don't know, maybe I'm weird, but I really like to say that if you're newly starting a business, I'd like to see you succeed the first time. Maybe I'm the wild person here, but we only will do that through learning through failure from ourselves and from others. And if we don't have that conversation, if we push too much about, well, how did you succeed? How did you succeed? And that stuff is important. But I want to learn, how did you fail? What lessons did you learn? What safeguards did you put in place for the next time around? Those are the things that I think are more valuable in the end. One of the other parts about Defeat 90 that I think is so crucial that we all get on the same page about is this holistic idea of entrepreneurship. We're hearing more and more about this. We've heard about the work-life balance and all these other things, but what I want to talk about is even more deeper than that. I feel like I've met so many business owners that are really successful, but terrible people. You're like, please do not let me get stuck in a room with that person. Or on the flip side, the person's super charismatic and they're super lie, what I'm saying? You've been around those people and you can't trust them as far as you can throw them. I feel like there's been this decline in integrity and character in how we do business for a while now. And it's something that I think needs to come back. I feel like, for me at least, just take it away from the general idea of character, but even just from the regular character flaws. For me, I know I would be so much further along. I've always struggled with self-discipline. It's something that it's been hard for me in business. It's being organized. And I know that's the very thing that's held me back. And it's something I'm working on, and I've been getting better and better and better. But I know some of it is me having help through community and other things too, but it's a character flaw. So I believe as we have more conversations about normalizing and understanding the things that we need to change as people, will help us be better business owners. And as we're better business owners, we will be more successful. But I also think in the holistic approach, we have to redefine what success actually looks like. I'm tired of business just being about making money. And I get that that's it. But I'm a person that wants to change the world. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be doing this show. I think you can do both. I think you can make an amazing place for your employees to work, that you make a difference in their life and you make a difference in your employees' life and you still make money. I know, it sounds crazy. Again, just crazy ideas here. But here's the thing. The stats back it up. When you create an amazing culture, an amazing community, people stay longer. You have less money in training, and all these other things follow suit. But ultimately, again, I know for myself, I've been my biggest enemy, and I want to help you guys overcome that. And I feel like through the conversation, we can end this and help move ourselves all forward. Alas, and I think the most important part about Defeat 90, there's way more to this, because the idea of Defeat 90 is, again, trying to defeat the failure rates. One of the key parts of that is I call this an isolation epidemic when it comes to entrepreneurs. We get so busy, we don't have time to communicate and find people to hang out with. And the lessons we need are in the people around us. We've always heard we are the sum total of the 5 people we surround ourselves with. I would say, like, sometimes entrepreneurs, we're lucky if we have 2 people or 1 person that we, other than our spouse, that we actually are around. And that's kind of an issue. And so that's something that with Defeat 90 Collective, which is a part of this, which again, you can learn more about that. We're creating a community that's tied to this, to where we can all learn from each other's stories. We can have dialogue and we can grow together and hopefully defeat 90. Now we're getting to the part where it's a little tough for me, because I got to tell you about myself. It's not tough for me because I'm insecure, or it's because I don't want the focus to be on me. I've seen too many shows, these gurus that want all the attention and they love it. And I feel like that's hurt things. For me, I'm here not for attention, but because I want to help you, because I care about you, because I care about the bigger picture of the families that have been hurt from entrepreneurship. See, I grew up a kid who had a parent that was an entrepreneur, and he was an amazing craftsman at what he did. Truly amazing, but a terrible, terrible business owner. I grew up really poor. We lost houses. There's times I didn't know when I was going to have food. I mean, the stories and the way that affected my life was, I mean, right now I'm trying to turn it to the good, but like, honestly, I weighed out becoming an entrepreneur for a very, very long time because of what I experienced, because it was so bad. But my heart is to help you from having your families have to go through what I went through. My heart is to help you keep your employees' families from having to go through this. And so I tell my story just so you can understand that I've been here, I understand, and I want to fix things. It's really easy to be like, yeah, I've had some companies that have done, $500,000, million, that I'm a part of, and sold companies up. There's things I could tout and all that stuff like that. But what I really want to talk to you about is the fact I've had more failures in business than I've had successes. But I want you to understand that I have empathy, compassion for the struggles that is being an entrepreneur and what it can do. Some of you right now listening to this are so close to having to shut your doors and know what that's going to do to your family and know what's going to do to the family of your employees. And my heart breaks for you because I've been there and it's not easy. And that's the hope of the show. Why I'm so passionate about this Defeat 90. And this is not just something I'm doing and I'm not trying to be a guru or any of that stuff, is because it's not about my story. It's about our stories. It's about us learning and helping. And I've already talked about that enough. But the reality is, it's that pain of what I've gone through and seeing the consequence that drives me to help do whatever I can do possibly to see you succeed. So who am I? I would say I'm an entrepreneur advocate. That's really in my heart, to be there for you. And why should you believe me? Well, you'll just have to see as we grow this thing. Stick around, because I can tell you that my hope is, even in this show today, that you are encouraged and inspired to press on, because you know what? It can get better. You can learn, and you can overcome this. Okay, so it's been pretty heavy, pretty deep trying to talk through this. I'm going to take a little bit of a positivity break and just kind of, So I'm a huge fan of the underdog stories. I don't know about you. There's something about it. It just gets me in all the feels. And some of my favorites, Mighty Ducks, Remember the Titans. I can go on. But what I love about these shows, as you're watching them and you're seeing them, you see the progress, right? You see the journey. They suck and they're losing, and then all of a sudden the coach comes along and like helps them work through their failures and work through their weaknesses, and you start seeing subtle growth, and they have the first win. It's like, oh my gosh, we won. We can do this. This belief, we can do this, right? That's what I'm going to encourage you, is that no matter where you're at, no matter what part of the story you're in, with the right coaching, with the right mindset and heart, you can do this. You can overcome. You can move forward. And I don't know what that looks like. I know that's such a superficial thing to say, but I believe in you. And if you feel like the underdog, you're not. This is just part of the journey. Like the victorious person was always in them. That's the thing that gets me about those underdog stories. It's the fact that they were never a failure in the first place. They just had to figure their steps out. They just had to get there. That heroine's journey, like it's in all of us. It's in all of us, guys. We can do this. So far in this show, I wanted to take this first episode to kind of lay out where we're going, what we're doing, what's the difference, like what is Defeat 90. The last part is going to be more similar to the feel of what this podcast is going to be about. So we're going to have two different types. We're going to have shows that are just be me. I'm going to go through topics, things that are going on in the entrepreneur community, things that are timeless, things, feedback I've gotten from the community, bringing that in and having some real conversation about entrepreneurship and just what's going on. The other shows are going to be deep dive interviews, long form interviews with you, the small business owner, and learning everything we possibly can learn to help each other grow. So today is the one-on-one just between me and you, and having the conversations. And since we're still getting the community up, this is going to just be some things I've been thinking about and some things I want to kind of run past you. The biggest things that's happening right now in the entrepreneur community that's really been kind of crazy and I feel somewhat dangerous is there's this guru worship that's happening that it's just really not balancing reality, and it's kind of led to some really disastrous things. It's crazy because you have these, I've seen as young as like 18-year-olds portraying themselves as gurus of knowing everything about this, and all they're doing is basically regurgitating information. They've learned the funnel and building lead pages and all this other stuff to drive traffic, to build a community, and do all these things to basically sell this one little piece I've learned. Not saying that you can't do that, but a lot of times from some of my friends that have been in these groups, the content's not even that great. It's just regurgitated stuff from other people. But more so than anything, this guru talk, what's the part for me, like whether the information is credible or whether the information is not credible. I hope it's credible because otherwise it make them scammers, which some of them are. But the parts that I think to me that's the most dangerous is the expectations. You hear these stories, well, in 6 months they're doing $100,000 and in 1 month, there's some of these communities like they did X and I'll teach you how to do the same thing and you'll learn this. And we are trying to fast track what it takes to grow a business at the expense of the person that's buying into the business. And so much stuff we're teaching people how to do is how to do we're teaching people how to sell education stuff versus actually having something that's valuable. I don't know, heaven forbid, actually have something that's really valuable other than the thing they're actually doing to really help people. And to me, we have to really change up our expectations. I think it's interesting when you hear these stories of these overnight successes, and we all know in the back of our head that that's the exception, not the rule. But yet somehow we get all the things inside of us. Oh, why haven't I done this? For me personally, I strived so hard to get to that $1 million by the time I was 30. I'm now 40. I've come close a couple times. I've had definitely some really opportunities that could have been huge that messed up. One of the ones that probably was the closest was I had created this digital business card like 12, 13 years ago from some friends, and we were just way ahead of our time. If you've ever read the book Blue Ocean's Strategy, we were definitely a Blue Ocean strategy. But the problem with that is there's such a steep cost to the education curve on it that, oh my gosh, we were just too far. And even to this day, some of the things I've seen in this space do not compare to the idea of what we originally had with it. But that silver line, the thing that we had was we were so close to closing a deal with a national, let's say, supplier of office supplies. We'll just leave it at that. And come to find out, well, they were afraid of it cutting into their supply of selling business cards. kind of funny. Even though what's ironic is when I do see business cards anymore, like they have the QR code going to the digital card and all this other stuff, and it's just really interesting to me. But we tried to grow too fast. We did too much, and that company ended in failure. It was a great idea, but it ended in failure because we had misaligned expectations, because we thought we were going to be the next .com thing. We thought we were going to be the next Zuckerberg. I remember during that times when the social network came out, and I was just like, oh my gosh, that's going to be me. Oh my gosh. And I just wish I could have talked to myself back then and said, hey, slow and steady wins the race. Like we hear that, but it's just true. Now, there are some cases that the market's just hot and you just right time, right place. But I think it's interesting. I had a mentor earlier on in my career as an entrepreneur that I asked him, he had sold a company for hundreds of millions of dollars. And I asked him, I was like, what does it take to be a success? What does it take to be where you're at? And what he said is, one, you have to be hyper good at one thing, like focus and really develop a skill like crazy. So you need the skill, right? And I think sometimes that's one of the things we're missing. We're not developing the skill. He said, two, like you have to put in the work. You have to work hard and never give up, which I get it. But the third one's the one that pissed me off. I'm sitting here and I'm hearing this and I'm like, did you really just say that to me? Like, did you say that to me? He said, luck. And I'm like, luck? I can't, you're talking to a person, I love board games and playing games. If it's a game that's more based on luck than it is strategy, I'm like, nope, I'm out. For some reason, when I roll dice or do things, this is why I do not gamble, because I lose. This is a certain, now maybe some of you are like, oh, maybe you need to change your mind. No, it's just not a thing for me. And so it frustrated me. But what I really began to understand what luck represented was there's sometimes the right person leads to a right conversation. And because you're throwing enough things out there and you're trying enough and you're using your skill enough that it pays off. Or you happen to create something the market needs at that right moment, at that right time, and everything correctly goes. But there's so many of these overnight successes that it's way more built on luck than is the skill and the determination. Because I have seen plenty of people that were skilled and determined and still failed, and they shouldn't have. I've also seen people that had luck 5 years in, made some really bad decisions because the skill really wasn't supporting it and failed too. So this conversation I bring about gurus is the other thing I think that's dangerous is we focus so much on their successes, and I want to hear more about their failures. I want them to talk about the things that are embarrassing. I've shared some of those today, and I'll be sharing more throughout this, because if I can keep you from doing the same thing, but again, it's adjusting expectations. We live in a society that, in business, I was taught this early on, fake it till you make it. This is getting crazy because now I kind of move into like the idea of some of faking on some of the stuff that's happened when these courses and educational side of things and where things are at. Like people are buying or renting yachts and renting houses that look how successful you are, and they haven't made a dime. Or you were like, oh, well, I'm not that kind of business person. I'm not that person. But we curate our social media accounts so in such a way where it's not really representing where we're at. And here's the thing, it's ironic to me in this whole entire thing about where we worship success and we've made everything about that, is that the stats are coming out that we as a society are crying out for authenticity. The people that we know are fakes, we're just getting tired of it. We want a real conversation. We want to talk to someone with the lights on, that we know we're talking to some mask. We're actually talking to someone we can believe in, someone that we can trust. Because I feel like we're getting to a place where in business, we've had so many rug pulls for those crypto people out there. We've had so many rug pulls that we're tired of it. And so I feel like as I'm going into this, I'm talking more about this idea of the gurus, the fakes, this facade, these realities and these expectations. Somehow we're falling into that. somehow we are getting ourselves in a position to where we're comparing ourselves. We're like, why aren't we here? Instead of just focusing and getting back to the basics. Let's get amazing at our skills. Let's be determined not to fail. Let's learn from each other. Let's create a community that's authentic, that's real. I think that's one of the things that's interesting to me. When I would go to chamber events or networking events, and you'd get there and you'd get to where you're just like, well, I did this, and like it always somehow gets there. I mean, I would love to have conversations. Okay, what's your biggest failure? What's the thing you learned that's the thing that cost you the most money to learn that you could share with me? Okay, you're going through stuff. How can I help you? How can we help each other? How can we help each other succeed and be vulnerable and real? Like, this is where I'm at. And I mean, I can't tell you how many times, a long time when I would do that a lot, I was doing a lot of networking in the early days. I just feel like a phony. It's funny. We have this imposter syndrome thing that's just going on. And we wonder why. Because we're not being real. We have all this mess that's going on in our life. We have all this stuff that's happening in our families and in our business. And yet we present this picture of like, look, I'm amazing. And so, man, I tell you what, this is probably too strong of a conversation to have for the very first podcast. If you've already turned off. But you know what? This is for the people that really want to grow. This is for the people that really want to be a better version of themselves. This is for the people that, okay, guys, let's I guess the takeaways from this is, when we're watching this content, let's evaluate it for what it is. What's the good stuff I can take away? What's the fluff? Let's separate the fluff. As we're watching this content, is this putting us in an emotionally vulnerable place where now I'm comparing and I'm putting myself in a position that is not fair because these expectations are just not real, right? What's going on is not real. And as we're taking in this content, are we looking for the value we have? Or are we tearing ourselves down? I don't have that, or I don't have that equipment, or I don't have this. And we get ourselves stuck into what we don't have or we can't do, instead of focusing on what we can do. And I think the last thing, as we change the expectations, changing the time expectations, changing what we're trying to do, is, are we able to take all the stuff we've learned that's good, the bad, throughout that, and actually create actionable things to do with this information? Because it's interesting. I don't know where the study's at. One of my friends was telling me about this a couple months ago, that we get the same dopamine hit from watching educational things as if we did the thing as we do from doing the thing. So sometimes we get so inundated with even this kind of content that we think we're making traction, but we're actually not doing the things. So my challenge to you, and as I end this podcast, is do the things. Adjust your expectations, because I believe in you and I know that you can defeat 90.
Many have tried and more have failed. The life of an entrepreneur is not for the weak of heart. If you are going to succeed, you must have real grit.
Stop the epic sales pitch. I'm not going to try to sell you on joining Defeat 90. It's a free group. But what I will let you know is that it is an application process, and it's for entrepreneurs only. And if you're just trying to get into the group to sell to people, you're going to get kicked out, because that's not what this place is about. Defeat 90 Collect is about overcoming the 90% failure rate in business. Because it's got to stop. It's affecting our families, it's affecting our communities, and at a time when it's been harder than ever to grow a business, to have a small business, we need to stick together. But why the failure? What makes Defeat 90 so special? Well, here's the reality. There's a stat that says 80% of us, when we have struggles in business, we don't tell anybody. We go through it alone. And it's those struggles that lead to the failure. And so what Defeat 90 is actually about is breaking those walls of isolation, bringing us together to help us share our experiences and wisdom of what to do and what not to do. And not learn from a bunch of gurus, but learn from people that have actually been there in the same situation. to help inspire you and keep you accountable to move forward in your business. Defeat 90 is about you. And the value is not created from me or any other person as far as being a guru, but it's created from us collectively working together to rebel against this failure. So if you're looking for a community that gets you, if you're looking for a community to inspire you, if you're looking for a community to help you push you and to being the best version of who you are and having the best version of your business possible, join Defeat 90 today.